What's up, guys? Welcome to another video. As you can probably tell, I am in the middle of a transmission swap. This is my rebuilt Synchrotech transmission that I bought. Obviously the old one's right there. Refreshing the bearings, pilot bearing, throwout bearing, things of that nature. Half the hardware right there. Anyways, since I have the Civic in the garage, I figure, you know, this is a perfect time to do some resto work. I've already repainted the rear drums. These were brand new rear drums about 6 months ago, and they completely rusted out. I really should have painted them before I put them on the car, but you know how that happens. Anyways, what this video is about, right here and right there. So the valve cover doesn't look too bad. Like, it really doesn't. I mean, there's some discoloration right there, a little bit there. And this is after I've washed it, by the way. I cleaned, or I rinsed with the power washer and went over some all-purpose cleaner on the engine bay before I even brought this car in the garage. So it is clean, but yeah, there is some discoloration, which on this car, this is mainly my daily driver. Hopefully in the future, I'm going to do some track days in it. But anyways, I think this condition is okay. It actually looks worse on the camera. Like these spots right here, these are very kind of a dark gray in person, and for some reason they're showing almost white on the camera. So it actually looks worse on camera. But anyways, what I'm saying is I don't think this valve cover is that bad. It's really not. So why am I doing this? I'm doing this because of this guy right here. Now, as you can see, I have already taped this. This is the part that says, you know, the dual point fuel injection right there. This is obviously peeling, and this has been like this since I bought the car. Since it's, you know, a daily driver, you know, somewhat of my beater car, I haven't really cared. So yeah, but if I repaint this, then this is gonna look bad. You know what I mean? They're gonna be mismatched, and I don't want that, so I'm gonna have to repaint both. This one is easy. I've done valve covers before on my Integra GSR. I've done that valve cover. I did that one, like, I don't know, at least 3 years ago, and that one's held up fine. But I don't know, I'm just looking at this, and if I'm gonna take this to a track day, I want it to at least be presentable. You know, painting a valve cover is relatively cheap. I'll get to the supplies here in just a moment. Actually, why don't I go ahead and get to the supplies? All right, first off, we have the paint. This is a good one right here. VHT Wrinkle Plus. I like to go with black. You know, it's just OEM black. I bought some Rust-Oleum aircraft remover. That is to remove the old paint off of the valve cover. And then this is my favorite tape I like to use, frog tape. It's a little bit higher quality than your average normal Scotch tape. I think it sticks just as well, but the lines are definitely cleaner. So this is the tape I like to use. And then, of course, a paintbrush, just a cheap paintbrush to put on the aircraft remover, and grease and wax remover for before I paint it. And then this guy. Normally I wouldn't use a small paintbrush like this, but let me show you the whole reason why. Because on this dual point, first of all, it has this little plaque or sticker, whatever you want to call it, right in the middle, and that's why I put tape on it, and I used a razor blade to cut these edges to make it, you know, perfectly on there. But as you can see, there's a ridge right here and a ridge right here, and between that there's actual paint. So I don't want to get that big paintbrush that I have, and I don't even want to get it on the tape, because that stuff is like acid. It will eat through anything. It will eat your skin. Definitely want to wear protective gear. But anyways, I'm going to have to use this very, very small. Actually, I wish I was even a little smaller, but I'm going to have to use this paintbrush to get in just those crevices right there and get that paint off in there. So I've already taken this cover off before. Man, this was a pain. Actually, I had to use my Dremel and slice 2 of the screws to get that thing off. I ordered 4 OEM brand new screws to put on this thing. That's the whole story, why I'm doing it, the reason why I'm doing it, and my supplies. So let's go ahead and get this valve cover off and let's strip the paint. There we go. All right guys, I got the valve cover off. I'm gonna go along these edges and just kind of clean up some oil. I like to keep everything relatively clean as I go. Just gonna clean that off. And then here I have the valve cover. I already took off the valve cover gasket and these tube seals. These are all Honda OEM, by the way. I replaced these gaskets and these 4 grommets right here less than a year ago. So I'm just gonna clean them up real good and just reuse them. All right guys, I have my face mask and protective gear on. I am using my paintbrush, my little paintbrush. I just put it in a little paper cup. I just applied the aircraft remover. This is the stuff I'm using right here. I'm gonna see how it works on this one first and then I'll get to the valve cover. It's only been on here probably for about 2 minutes and it's already flaking up pretty good. Again, I use the paintbrush to get right in this little cracks between here and here. Then I'm going to get a scraper, see if I can start scraping this off. Oh yeah, look how easy that's coming off. Not a problem. Easy as can be. This paint was not on there very thick. Alright guys, I have it all stripped. It is, man, it actually looks pretty cool. Just with this, like, I don't know if this is aluminum or this bare metal. Actually looks pretty cool that way, but yeah, I'll do the wrinkle finish on it, but it's looking pretty good. I used my 2 brushes on it. That little paintbrush worked out really well. And those crevices, I took off the paint, I took off the tape because I wanted to rinse underneath it just in case some leftover paint stripper was underneath it. Put some paint stripper in my cup. Here we go, no turning back now. Oh. I'm glad this, I was worried about fitting into this crevice. I'm glad this paintbrush can fit in there. So yeah, this is pretty much easy. I mean, all you have to do is just paint it on. Paint it on to get the paint off. I've noticed it helps a lot if you do it on thick. It seems to come off a little easier. So I'll put basically like an initial coat on and then I'll go back and if I need to put on a little heavier. The paint stripper has been, I shouldn't say aircraft remover, has been sitting on the valve cover for I'd say around 12 minutes. And some parts looks like it's gonna come off easy, like this part right here. But other parts like right there, yeah. So yeah, this is definitely gonna take probably a few coats, few applications of the paint stripper or the aircraft remover. And so this is just a process of scraping as much as I can and then I will rinse it with water with the hose, and then I will apply another coat of the aircraft remover. So yeah, that's pretty much the process. Not really hard, just time consuming. You gotta be careful with this stuff. It's extremely bad for you if you get on your skin, man. It will burn. If you get on your skin, you need to rinse it off immediately. All right, well, here it is after the first coat of aircraft remover and a rinse with water. You can see there is still a majority of the paint on there. I'd say maybe even 50% of the paint on there. So this is definitely a stronger paint coat than the dual point cover. Valve cover looks like after the second coat of aircraft remover. I have rinsed it and scraped it a little bit. There's just a little bit left, just some little parts here and there, mainly around edges and such. So I'm gonna give it another coat of the aircraft remover, and hopefully this will be the third and final coat. Here it is after the third aircraft remover coat. There are still very, very minor specks of paint here and there, but for a D-series valve cover, I think they'll be all right. I don't think that will cause any harm to the new paint job or anything. I mean, I'm not going for absolute perfection here. I'm just going for, you know, a fresh look. So I don't think that that will hinder it in any big way. Well, here it is. I cleaned it with a grease and wax remover. As you can see, I taped up the parts that I do not want to be painted. I removed about 98% of the paint. Took 3 coats. Here is the dual point injection cover. This one was a little hard to mask off. I do not think that this is going to come out perfect, but that's okay. As you can see, there's a ridge where that sticker is, and I tried my best to cut the tape to where it didn't go fully over the edge. But anyways, I'm going to do one more coat of this grease and wax remover, and then I'm going to take these out in the backyard and spray paint them. The Wrinkle Black paint says to do 3 heavy coats, and what you do is you do 1 coat vertically, and then 1 coat, or the next coat, horizontally, and then the third and final coat I will do diagonally. I'll go like that. So it enables it to have full coverage. All right, first coat is laid. Second coat is laid. This one looks super thick. I'm going to go back and shave the lettering. Well, here it is after the third and final coat. Just kind of looks like a lot of orange peel. A lot of people use a dryer, like a heat gun, or they bake it in the oven, or a blow dryer, just something that provides heat. I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to do this as a little experiment. It doesn't say to actually do that on the can. Actually, it says to cure it, to put it in the oven, I think like 200 degrees for an hour or something like that. But they do it to bring out the wrinkle, but the can doesn't say to do that to bring out the wrinkle. So I'm going to actually follow the can's instructions, the paint can's instructions, and not use a heat gun on this. Come along with me for this little experiment, and I will pick up maybe a day or two later. Let's see how it looks. All right, well, it's been about 1 hour since I shot the paint, and this is what's happening. This one is really, really wrinkled. And remember, this is without using a heat gun. This is just sitting in my garage. This doesn't look as wrinkled. But yeah, just showing you guys what it looks like. Man, this is gonna be interesting. See how this turns out. All right, guys, so I have my dual point cover here, and it is painted wrinkle black. Looks pretty good. I sanded down these 2 lines right here that are on the top and the bottom of the dual point sticker, and I just used my sanding blocks here. This is a 80 grit, and then I originally wanted a block one like this, but I ordered this off of Amazon and this is what they sent me, so this isn't really what I wanted. But anyways, this one's 80, this one's 320. I did these 2 lines right here. Came out pretty good. And then, oh, but before I did these, I used a razor blade and I kind of etched the paint off, and then I used my tape just along the edges, all the edges of all this, before I started any of this, you know, scraping it or sanding it, just to protect it. So I'm gonna go ahead and prep this valve cover and do the same. I'm gonna do the H and the 16 valve Honda Motor Co. So I'll show you guys what that looks like before I get started with the razor blade. All right, so first I'm gonna do this H. I'm just gonna take my razor blade and I'm just going to pick at it like this. It's really hard to do it one-handed, but that's what I do. I just scrape it with a razor blade like that, and I'll show you guys what it looks like once I have it scraped, and then I'm going to sand it down. Honda. All right, so I'm going to put a tape under here, get my razor blade and scrape some off, and you guessed it, use my 80 grit, then my 320 grit. Not bad. The metal has a little dimple right there, but man, this is gonna look really good whenever it's done. Well, here it is, guys. It's all sanded, ready to go on the car.
What's up, guys? Okay, so I finished my valve cover painting a few weeks ago, and I've been driving the car. I put some mileage on it, but I just wanted to give you guys a clip of what the valve cover and the dual point cover look like right now. Completely finished. Give you a close up. It is a little bit dusty. Doesn't have a little bit of dust on there, some debris. But as you can see, the wrinkle finish, it died down from a couple clips ago, you know, whenever I had just painted it. So it's definitely died down a bit, which is a good thing. And man, it looks really good. Nice and fresh on there. Came out really nice. Of course, I shaved off 16 valve Honda Motor Co. and then the Honda symbol right there. Here's the dual point cover. This one came out okay. The finish on it looks really good. Definitely better than it was. New OEM hardware. Replaced all 4 of those screws. But yeah, there is the finished product right there, guys. Looks pretty good, doesn't it? The bay is relatively clean. Like I said, I've driven this a few weeks since I painted it, but anyways, at this point, I guess I'm going to say thank you guys so much for watching. If you like my car or this video, please give me a thumbs up, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.